What's up, man? It's your big brother K-Rino here on this Tuesday night to cover this topic, the war against self-hate. And the term self-hate is a term we hear a lot and use a lot, unfortunately, in the Black community, because we tend to see examples that point to that. We tend to get examples that point to self-hate where we can either definitively conclude that that's what it is, whether we can create the opinion that that's what it is, or somewhere in between or around those two things I just mentioned. Y'all be sure to hit the like button as y'all come into the door. Hit the like button as you come in, man. Because when you do that, it helps to circulate the videos a little bit better. Hit the like button as y'all come in. We're talking about the war against self-hate. Now, one of the most difficult aspects of waging war against self-hate, one of the things that makes it so difficult to wage war against it, is that unfortunately many individuals who suffer from self-hate don't believe that they do. And this is me talking. It's my humble view on it. Many people who suffer from self-hate or who exhibit self-hating characteristics or self-hating traits, they don't believe or feel like that they are suffering from that. They feel like they're just fine, which they are entitled to feel that way, but actions tell the story better than a set of lips. Now, when you talk about self-hate in the Black community, it's very important to understand that we can't just start right at the actual visualization of seeing examples of. We can't start that. We have to do our best to go to the root of why we are the way we are in a lot of instances. And the root of it all is going all the way back to Black people being brought to these shores of North America as slaves. This goes all the way back to a process of conditioning that took place, that Black people underwent when being brought over here in the first place, in order for slave owners to maximize the viability of free Black labor. A conditioning process had to be carried out. That's just the reality of it. If you think about the early slaves, according to a lot of the history, a lot of the early slaves were extremely rebellious. And make no mistake about it, slaves rebelled all the way to the end, all the way to when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. But the first slaves knew exactly who they were being brought from their homeland. They knew exactly who they were. So it's very difficult to take somebody and who was clearly aware of themselves, clearly aware of their history, the tribes they come from, the languages that they speak, all of the things that constitute their cultures. It's very difficult to take someone like that and then make them into what you want to be, to force them into being what you want to be. So the process was a lot more difficult for some. Some slaves even, they never made it over here. They're like, nah, I'd rather die then live my life like that. We've seen depictions of it that touch on aspects of that, like when you watch, we watch Roots. We understand now that Roots was kind of, even though it gave us our first look of what slavery could have been during those times, this gave us a lightweight look at it. So we're appreciative of that. And it touched on the original slaves that came from Africa, who were Muslims. And they spoke their language, they knew exactly who they were, and they were very hard to break. Over time, as those individuals began to die and die off and the generations began to pass, and the fact that they would sell newborn babies immediately into slavery, and you may be born in a particular city or a particular state, and they would take you as a baby and sell you to a slave owner whose plantation was in a whole other city or state. This makes it a whole lot easier to program the mind of that baby, because he has no connection anymore. He has no knowledge of where he came from and who he is. So now you can deposit in him whatever it is you want to deposit in him. You can give him a name that's not his. You can force a language, you can make him speak a language that's not his, and you can force a religion on him that's not his or hers. It's easier now, because what they're going to grow up and come up into is all they've ever known. Feel me? Y'all hit that like button, man. I'm sorry I'm coming on late. I'm back to my old ways, man. But we're talking about the war against self-hate, but we got to start kind of at the root. And I ain't going to hold y'all long, but we got to start at the root of how this thing even started to develop. So, of course, when you have people in that condition and their only purpose, according to the slave owner, the only function for the whole entirety of their life is to work to enhance the wealth of somebody else. That's it. You are not to ever know what it's like to graduate from school, even to go to school. You are not to ever know what it's like to wear nice clothes. You are not to ever know what it's like to be able to, even to read. These things were prohibited, as we know. So your only function is to work all day and build a kingdom for somebody else. So your face is worn, your hands are worn, your skin is worn. Not only that, you're enduring mental and physical abuse. You got whips on your back. You got scars on your body. If you rebel too hard, you got a rope around your neck and you lose your life. You were beat and then expected to be right back out in the field working the next day. You were told that you're not even human. You watched dogs parade around the plantation and receive more respect than you and your family. As a woman, you were not able to properly groom yourself, to properly dress, to have that self-esteem as a woman, and as a man, didn't have any of that. So those seeds are slowly being planted, and you being told that you're nothing, you're worthless. You're being shown that you're nothing and that you're worthless simply through just the process of how you're being treated, and the fact that Even if you were to have a child, your child is considered property. If your child didn't get sold off, they are working right next to mom and daddy as soon as they are able to do so. These are things that can automatically start to breed low self-esteem and self-hate that carries on through generations. So Malcolm X gave a speech a long time ago where he talked about the house Negro and the field Negro. We all are familiar with that. And we know we're familiar with the dynamic that he was speaking about. And it is an example through that history to show how even back then there was a desire by some of us to get as near to massa as we could in order to make it as easier on us as we could make it. Even if it meant that our fellow brothers and sisters had to be thrown under the bus at times by us, by the house Negro. Whatever it took for the house Negro to remain comfortable and to stay out of the way, even if it meant, if word got out that an escape was going to take place, that a rebellion was going to take place, if the word of that got into the ears of that house Negro, rather than him just going, yep, I'm acting like I don't know about it, I'm gonna stay out the way and let them do what they do, he went above and beyond to go do what? To go tell Massa what them field Negroes is getting ready to do and thwart the whole thing. See? This is a way that still exists today among many of us as Black people, that we seek nearness. We want to be rubbing elbows and shoulder to shoulder with the slave master. See? This is not just from 300 years ago, 400 years ago. This still applies today. We can't forget about Willie Lynch. And we hear people talk about Willie Lynch a lot. We hear people talk about the Willie Lynch letter. And for those who don't know the story, it may be people who are not Black folks on here who don't understand, don't know. Well, I hear about Willie Lynch, I don't know what it is. Okay, let me tell you. I just spoke about the physical mistreatment of the slave during the times of slavery. The physical abuse, the hanging, the lynching, the beating, all of those things, the rape, all of those things. There were issues that the slave masters were having in terms of, again, escapes, rebellions, and things of that nature. This is in the 1700s. A man named Willie Lynch was called down to speak to the plantation owners in Virginia and to offer solutions to the problem that a lot of the plantations were having with their slaves. And he spoke to them and informed them that, look, y'all out here beating and killing and hanging the slaves, and by doing that, you are destroying valuable stock. His words, I'm paraphrasing though. You are destroying valuable stock that is supposed to be used for the purpose of building our nation and keeping us wealthy, right? So let me offer you, this Willie Lynch talking, let me offer you another alternative that you can use to gain better control over your slaves. I talked about pimps and prostitutes the other day. A pimp gains control of the mind of the prostitute and puts her on autopilot. So she carries out the bidding of the pimp even when the pimp ain't around. And nobody can break that hold that the pimp has on her, the game that he's instilled. That's where Willie Lynch is. He spoke about mental manipulation, mental strategies that you can impose on the slave that will cause them to obey on autopilot. And you will not have to do as much, if at all, beating and physical intimidation. So the strategy is turn the old black slave against the young black slave. Turn the dark-skinned slave against the light-skinned slave. Turn the female slave against the male slave. Create envy among the slaves. This one's getting privileged, this one's not. This one's getting this one's not. Envy starts to develop. Distrust starts to develop. So now the focus is shifted from the oppression of the slave master. That focus is shifted from them and is shifted to each other. We clashing against each other. Don't that sound familiar? Don't that sound like something that's not necessarily pinned on to 300 or 400 years ago? That sounds real familiar. And the reason why it sounds so familiar is because in speaking to those plantation owners, Willie Lynch made the statement that, look, this indoctrination will become self-fueling and self-generating for hundreds of years. He said 300 years that it would last, if not 1,000 years. So he was confident that if applied correctly, that we would be automatically carrying out these exact traits that I mentioned, the division among us that I mentioned, that he mentioned. He said it would last 300 years or more. So that's why it sounds familiar, because we see it every day. Do we not see, as black people, do we not see the light skin against the dark skin? Do we not, as men and women, but I'm going to speak on behalf of men, do we not as men have this, some of us have this open adoration for light-skinned women? I need me a yellow chick. And the light-skinned black woman is beautiful. But so is the brown-skinned black woman. So is the dark-skinned black woman. We should make no distinction. Should make no distinction. But there was a movement long time ago. I won't say a movement, but you would always hear the glorification of the light skin. And a lot of sisters had the same syndromes, like they like the light-skinned black man. Now, I'm not saying everybody is like that, because trust me, I know a lot of brothers who love dark-skinned women. I know a lot of sisters who love dark-skinned men who prefer. But the point I'm making is that the lighter was formulated in our mind to be better than the darker. So if the light-skinned slaves are in the house and the dark-skinned slaves out in the field, then that automatically creates a tension. Not attention, but tension between the slaves. But we all in this together. So fear, envy, distrust. Now you start to see the seeds of self-hate. And from those centuries back all the way to the present time, it's passed on. It's passed on. See? So fast forward to the modern day, we still have black people who seek nearness to their master. So these are the ones that they'll put on TV. They'll put on Fox News. They'll put on CNN. They'll put on whatever station. If something is going on with black people and they need a counteractive presence to speak against what we should be doing, or what people are, look, man, we need to be out here doing this. And they know that those actions will be a threat to their system. Hit that like button, y'all. Too many of y'all ain't hit the like yet. Unless you don't like what I'm saying. If you don't like what I'm saying, don't hit the like button. You're not forced to obligate it. So they got to find a black person, male or female, who will speak their thoughts without them having to necessarily be up front. They can lay in the back and say, see, look, this is one of their own saying this. This is one of their own saying it. And in doing that, they believe it takes it off of them. Hey, it's one of y'all saying it. But they also believe that if it's the right one, the right black person, if it's a particular celebrity that speaks their mind, it will influence the rest of us. But we're not stupid like that these days. Because we can love a black celebrity, we can love them all day long, but as soon as they say something out of pocket that's off code, we're gonna be like, oh, hold on, no. I loved your last movie, but you tripping right now. Hey man, I'm glad you won the championship last year, but you ain't selling that to us. So they get black people, famous black people, to do their bidding for them. It's what they do. Because they feel like the same way we are able to sell their products through the endorsements and doing commercials and holding up the soda water can and the tennis shoes and hamburgers and all that. The same way that they get us to do that, which generates revenue for them, they believe that they can get us to do the same thing as it relates to social issues, as it relates to oppression. And again, for some people it works, but for the most part, black people smarter than that. We waking up. Everybody's waking up. Different races of people are waking up. Everybody ain't waking up. It's still some people that's just as misguided and lost. I'm trying to be better with my language. See? So you got Republicans, you got Democrats, Republicans. And it's always a fight in a war for the black vote. You don't hear them clamoring and going hard for other races of people for their vote the same way they go after the black vote. Just a fact. It's not to say they don't want the votes of the Asian. It's not to say they don't want the votes of the Arab American, the Latino brothers and sisters. But they want that black vote. And I believe it's because, in part, that we have been the most deceived by that enemy to where they look at it like, this is the easiest road, and it's a road that's well traveled. Let's play the same little game we always play with them, make them believe that we care about them until we get in, and then we do nothing for them, whether it's Democrat or Republican. So the self-hate part comes in because you have to be self-hating. And see, when I say self, y'all got to understand how layered that word is. And I'm going to get to y'all in a minute. You got to understand how layered the word self is, because self, typically, we think about when you hear the word self. You just think about yourself, you. But nah. Self means the whole. It means the whole. So if I say, yeah, man, he's self-hating or she's self-hating, yeah, an element does mean you as an individual, but also it means the whole of your people. You're demonstrating hate to your people if you would get on TV and try to persuade us to do something that you know is not in the best interest of us as a people. But you're doing it for position. Butt kissing for position. Butt kissing for position. See? You know that it's not right. But you're being paid. Master cutting that check. Master gave you that platform. So that check and that platform has more value to you than the well-being of your own people. That's what a sellout is. You sold out. And you don't have love for your own self on another level, because when the day comes when your people get tired of you selling them out, you didn't factor in a consequence that could come knocking at your door. Didn't factor in that consequence. So you didn't love yourself when you made that decision, because you'll sell your people out. And in most cases, when they do that, when you got all these different people out there who just always speak on behalf of these slave masters, these enemies, these snakes, to push their agendas. They push and push and push their agendas. When you got black folks that do that, man, it never fails. At some point, the same people that they pushing for and riding for end up cutting them loose. They drop them like a hot potato. Drop them. Your services are no longer needed. It happens time and time again throughout history. I won't name names today because, again, I'm working on some stuff. I'm trying to address these kind of situations a little better. I'm trying to follow the example of Minister Farrakhan in terms of not not wanting to just grab the hatchet. But there are individuals who sell us out. And when they sell us out, the mistake that they make is when they get cut off, they have already distanced themselves from the Black community in favor of the white slave masters and those who own and control the world, right? But then when they cut them off, now you have nothing. You just in limbo now. And the first thing they try to do is run back to the Black community. Seen it too many times. That story been told too many times. And in some cases, we're merciful people, man. We're good-hearted people. And the example of how good-hearted we are, and I don't know if that's good-hearted or foolish-hearted, is that we'll forgive an enemy. We'll forgive somebody who shoot up our whole family. That's a sickness. That's self-hate. But some of us will forgive and accept that person back, which if they really, really learned their lesson, I'm not opposed to doing that. Nobody should be condemned, or we don't have the right to be anybody's judge. But if you only coming back because you feel like now, uh-oh, I'm stuck, I gotta try to. That's like cussing your mom and your daddy out and tell, hey, I don't need to live in your house no more. Talk crazy to them. I get my stuff and I leave. I don't need y'all no more. And then you get out in that world and those people just run you through the ring in this world. Then you come back to mom and dad. Mama, mama would typically let you back in. Even if sometimes you might not deserve to get back in. See? So if your self-hate drives you to turn against your own, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, accept your own and be yourself. Accept your own and be yourself. Powerful words. We can't accept our own until we know what our own is. We can't be ourselves until we know who we are. But the problem is, going back, we were taught who we supposedly are by our enslaver. So the old saying goes, what's the old saying, y'all? A person who will not treat you right will not do what? I'm gonna let y'all finish. A person who won't treat you right also will not what? So at the end of the day, we are shaped in the image of not God, but a devil. I see you, K, for real. If they won't treat you right, they won't what? Teach you right. There you go, bro. I see you got it together. A person who won't treat you right will not teach you right. That's why black folks were never allowed to learn how to read. You could not allow any knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to be let into their mind because they feared rebellion. They feared uprising. They feared the destruction of their way of life in the form of the breaking down of their economy. Black people were and still are the economy. We're putting about 1.5, 1.6 trillion into the economy right now. But at that time, you're talking about a whole country being built on free labor. Didn't even have to pay. It don't get no better than that if you're the recipient of that. Hit the like button, y'all. So that's a form of self-hate that was ingrained in us. We got a problem with family members. Own brother and sister don't like each other. 4 or 5 of us. One of them was the favorite. Mom and daddy seemed to favor this one because she was light-skinned, and the darker one seemed to get treated a little different. That's not a natural process. That's something that was ingrained in them. And the person who was receiving that mistreatment never understood, never could understand why. It's Willie Lynch. So now what happens in the modern day? What happens now is we try to compensate physically for things that we feel like we have shortcomings on. So I don't like my skin. I don't like that they called me Blackie in school. They made fun of how dark my skin was in school. So I'm going to bleach my skin now. I'm going to start bleaching my skin. I want to make myself look lighter because I'm not proud. I'm ashamed of that beautiful blackness that God blessed me with, that beautiful black skin that all shades come out of. That's why I'm glad I got this black t-shirt on tonight. Because to understand science and genetics, not saying I'm no expert, but on the most base level, the slightest hint of study will make you understand that all shades come from black. So the dark-skinned black person, I don't care if you blue, I don't care if you black as these lokes. The lokes darker than the shirt. There are people on the planet who are this black. They have maintained their original skin tone. It hasn't been tampered with through rape, through intermixing, right? That lightened us up over the years. These are the facts. So when you live in a world that has made darkness out to be ugly, and that pressure comes down on you, then you feel like, I got to do something about this. Man, I can bleach my skin, make myself look light, make myself feel better. I can put blue contacts in my eyes. And I want to let y'all know, I ain't knocking nobody who might be doing this. I'm not disrespecting you. I don't agree with it, but I'm not being disrespectful. I don't want y'all, any of my family, to think that. But I'm speaking to a point and a principle that is real. Don't be in your feelings. Don't be sensitive. Focus on what I'm saying. So I put these color contacts in my eyes to make me feel like I have hazel eyes. Now I got blue eyes like Susie got, right? I don't like how my hair is. They called me nappy head when I was growing up. Like Martin said, they called me BDB. They called me buckshot. My hair was hard to manage when I was young, so I want to perm my hair out. And I ain't just talking about females. because I want to look as close, I want to look as far away, better yet, I want to look as far away from what they say I am, that ugly, that nappy-headed, that black, big nose, big lips. I want to look as far away as that as I can, not understanding that that's the true beauty. Because the Most High Creator did not make a mistake when he created you. He didn't mess up. He didn't make your nose wide, and then when he made it, whoa, oh, God, my bad. Well, go on, put it on out there anyway. Yeah, he gonna have a big nose, boy. Hey, I put too much nose meat in there. No, he didn't make a mistake. Tina P say Jerry curls. Yeah, we would do anything to alter our natural, beautiful appearance. Extra, 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 extra makeup. The makeup is caked up. Hair extensions. Again, I'm not being disrespectful, because one thing about black women have the ability to make everything look wonderful. But you also have the ability to make your natural self look wonderful, because it already is. So you'll see a brother or a sister who will go and say they went and got their nose fixed. Think about the key word they said, get their nose fixed. What do you mean fixed? For something to get fixed, that had to mean that it was broke, right? You get your nose fixed, you actually broke your nose. You destroyed it because you want your nose to be thin like this pen. When your nose is the way it is, because that represents your originality. Why did they shoot the nose and the lips off of the Sphinx? See? They had hatred for the fact that when they got to that region and they saw that Sphinx with that big wide nose and them big lips, they knew who the original man was. So when their hatred, they blow the nose off the Sphinx, blow the lips off the Sphinx. This is how it got like that. So we gonna let somebody else's hate for us transfer itself into us. So now we start expressing self-hate. Come on, man. We should look at that as a sign, like, man, we some beautiful people. You ever seen those pictures of those people in Africa, like in the Sudan? And like I say, they are blue-black. Man, those are some of the most beautiful people you would ever lay your eyes on, because they are physical embodiments and reflections of blackness that are of the darkness of the universe itself. See? So usually our self-hate actions come as a result of words that were said to us by other people who tricked us into making us believe that we was ugly in some form, or that we were not good enough physically in some form. And unfortunately, most times It's other black people saying this to black people. Somebody in your family, your mama, your daddy said you was ugly. Your daddy said you got a big head. Your brothers and your sister teased you all the time about this one particular thing. They didn't really mean no harm in it. Some did. Some hated themselves so much that they imposed that hate on you within your own family, and they saw beauty in you, but because they felt a certain way about themselves, they wanted you to feel just like them. But you had others who just they just planned. You know how we get down, we gonna rank and roast each other, and yeah, but look at your ear though. You was born with your ear was born bent down, folded over, and then we laugh. But when you hear certain things enough, even if you never openly express how you feel about it, sometimes it takes a toll on you. And you might laugh, but when you step and look into the mirror, you're like, man, my ear is messed up. Man, my nose is kind of big. Man. And it wears on you. So the minute that some of us get an opportunity to change it because our financial situation might put us in that position, then money becomes a dangerous tool. Money becomes a dangerous tool because now you have the ability to go and get your nose broke. You have the ability to go and bleach your skin. You have the ability to go and say, they always talking about how flat my booty is. I'm going to go get me some booty implants. I'm going to get some butt injections. And just like that shot they give it to everybody, you don't know what's in it. And they put this stuff in your butt to make your booty big. And next thing you know, you're sick. Some women have died. Some have had serious malfunctions with those things, and they booty just collapse. Just keeping it real. All because we let somebody else get in our head who has no power over us, no control over our success, our failures, and we let them make us believe that we were something that we not. And no matter how many people tell you, well, no, man, you beautiful. No, bro, you straight, bro, you good. No, sis, there's nothing wrong with you. If it has come, if the negative words have come from somebody that they love and that they care about, that they respected, and it's been consistent throughout their upbringing, it's hard to overcome that for them. Doesn't matter. They'll get married and suffer from these self-esteem episodes to where the person who married them accepts them just like they are, wouldn't change nothing about them, but that person can't even convince them how beautiful that they really are. See? Self-hate instilled in us. So that's a couple of examples. Then it manifests itself in other ways. But before I get to that, man, let me address the family. I'm gonna write that down because I will forget. I will forget. See what y'all talk about. Let me know where y'all located at, man. Drop your locations real quick. Drop your locations real quick. Flat Plane Heater says my wife was ashamed of her lips for years. Did she ever get over that? Because part of her, look, bro, when I was in school, now keep in mind, I'm a young dude. Keep dropping y'all locations. I see them coming in. I'm a young cat at the time. We were young in elementary school, and we would see people in a classroom at school, classmates with big lips, And we would actually roast people if they had big lips. We've all done it. Then when you grow up into your manhood, you get a little older, you be like, nah, them big lips are actually nice. That's beauty. But somebody made her feel like her thick lips was a badge of ugliness. Somebody made her feel like that. Or somebody contributed to it. So you have to be the one to do the best you can to make her understand. Number one, you just said that was your wife, which means you her husband. Number one, now, it wouldn't matter when nobody think about your lips, because I like them. And that's all she should be concerned about anyway. Now, I understand, of course, there's a self-image that people like to be proud of within themselves and look like, hey, I need to like the way I look too. But if it's something about yourself that you don't like, it cannot be dictated based on what somebody else said to you, to make you not like, to bring something to your attention that you weren't even thinking about. You was going through life. You was 9 years old and you was fine until you got to school one day and somebody started talking about your head. New Hampshire in the building, man. How hard to get nobody from New Hampshire. Salute. Alabama, Oakland, California, Los Angeles, Miami, Alabama again. My boy Jimmy. West Coast, Canada, Corpus Christi in the building. I see Angelina. I see a troop within. Detroit, Michigan in the building. Baltimore. Man. Yasharala. I see you, brother. I hope I pronounced your name right. Corpus again. Asia. That's right. The whole planet is Asia. Houston, Texas, Lufkin born. Canada. Australia, Milwaukee. What's up, T? Boy from Milwaukee and rocking with me for a long time. I know who you are. South Park, H-Town. All right, Chris. Micah Israel. You just hit on something that was so strong, bro. You just opened up something that would take this conversation another hour, but I ain't gonna go that long. As for Black people to see an image of Jesus, the Messiah, to see an image of Jesus all our life being hung up in the church, being a white man with blonde hair and blue eyes. And this is who is depicted as the God. What does that do to the self-esteem, the Black man and woman? What does that do for that? To say, okay, well, the very one that is believed to be the creator and God himself, even the Son of God, whatever you view him, he looks nothing like us. He got blonde hair and blue eyes. That is another component that helped to instill the self-hate. They hung that on every wall in the Black church. It's still Black churches today that still got that image hanging up. Tell me I'm lying. Black households that still got, y'all see that episode of Good Times? Where JJ painted the Black Jesus. It was Ned DeWino, but he was Black Jesus on the picture. And the mother was fighting and arguing with the family to keep the picture of the white Jesus up. This in the 70s. Michael went to the Bible and said, well, it says right here he had hair like lamb's wool and his skin looked like brass burnt in the oven. That's in the book. So if his hair looked like lamb's wool and his skin was like burnt brass burnt in the oven, and I look on the wall, and I see Brad Pitt, something is off. So all of these things are made to play on the self-esteem of black people. If God is white, Jesus is white, Mary is white, then where's our place? Your place is in that field, picking that cotton. Your place is to tap dance in front of us and sing and play the banjo. Your place is to cross somebody over and pull up and shoot that J. See? You have no importance in the grand scheme of things. That's what we're taught. That's what they teach you. But the book don't just got blacks in it. The book is about blacks. Hey, man. Yeah, I said it. Now, self-hate manifests itself in other ways. I'm glad I wrote that down so I wouldn't forget it. And these are the other ways that it manifests itself. More Willie Lynch. When you see black people treat other people better than they treat other black people. When they are overly receptive, overly kind, overly generous, overly endearing, then when a black person come up, they, yeah, well, yeah, what's up? Just a natural animosity, well, an unnatural animosity towards each other. Why? Don't even know each other. That's a form of self-hate. Because it's something in their past, in their history, that has led them to, as Mr. Willie Lynch said, distrust each other, dislike each other. So you see one of your own, and for no reason, yeah, you got to watch him, man. Yeah, what you want? What you want, dog? Wait a minute. You didn't talk to him like that. When he walked up, you were, hello, sir. How you doing? May I help you? Would you like some cheese on that? Why are you acting like that with me? See? Something's been done to us. And the quicker that we understand it and accept it, because it's all right. It happened. But the biggest danger in seeking that nearness to the slave master and shunning our own people, the biggest danger in that, one of the biggest dangers again, is that they're gonna cut you loose one day, and you're gonna be in the neither world. You ain't gonna have neither side to turn to. But also not understanding that this country, the United States of America, is on its way out. We're on a sinking ship. We're on a Titanic, and it already hit the iceberg. So black Democrats, black Republicans, acting just like the white Democrats and white Republicans. Political gang banging. Spiritual gang banging. Based on, well, hey man, I'm a this, I'm that. I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I'm a Jew, I'm an agnostic, I'm a Catholic, see? Spiritual gang banging. But the danger, because when you watch the news, when you watch the Fox Newses and all that, and you see these black dudes sitting up there and they just sitting right next to these cats and just feeling like, yeah, they accept me. Man, these people care nothing about you. Nothing. See? Absolutely nothing. You are only a tool to further their agenda. And they will use you as a tool to further their agenda. All right, man, let me see what y'all talking about, man. We go back a little bit. Tina P. K. Davis said, let's get you out to New Hampshire for a show. Let's do it. Phoenix, Arizona. Michelle Williams in Tennessee. I see you, Joey D. Quay Shaka in Las Cruces, New Mexico. Missoula, Montana. Cincinnati, Ohio. I'll take a couple of questions if y'all got a few. Please give Nakia Overshine a shout out. What's up, Nakia Overshine? How you doing, man? Las Vegas. I see you, David. Truth Within says we're still talking about Jesus today because of his enlightened mind, not his body. Our minds free or enslaved. Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about him because of his enlightened mind, because of his divinity, because of his message and the principles that he stood on and that he taught. However, we're not the ones who altered his appearance or lied about his appearance. So if we want to be right and exact and factual about all things, then we got to be right and exact and factual about all things. We can't deflect what was done, because part of that process to change the view and the image of Jesus, that's devil work. Why would you do that? That's part of the process of conditioning us into the mind of self-hate. So it's bigger. It has a bigger meaning than we want to let on. So we can say, well, it really ain't about that. It's about just the principles. Yeah, that's true. So tell them that and ask them why they changed it. See, we got to understand where we came from. And when they cut you off from that, then you, I can't see around this wall. I can't find out where I came from. Because the knowledge of where we came from is what's going to free us. They say the truth will set you free, right? So slaves, we wasn't free because they ripped us from our truth. They stripped us of our truth. The truth is what was going to free us, is what would free us. There was a documentary I was watching about the Native Americans. And of course, the Native Americans were mistreated so horribly when the white settlers came in and started taking the land that had been the Native Americans' home for thousands of years. And they went back on their word on a treaty that was supposed to protect the native land of the Native Americans and protect them from being run off of that land. But then there were other people who came to the president and said, man, forget that. We need that land, bro. It's gold in that land. So they came back and tried to remix the contract, remix the deal with the Indians. And the Indians were like, nah, man. I'm speaking it in K-Rino terms. The Indians were like, nah, bro. No, you said what you said. This is what y'all said, man. And you know what they did? Now they made the agreement. The Indians was like, man, y'all need to honor what y'all said. But when they found out it was gold, there's gold in them there hills. When they found that out, you know what they did? Somebody tell me what they did. See if y'all know. Go tell me what they did. What did they do to them Indians after they broke their word with the Indians? When they found out that gold was there. Y'all taking too long. I'll tell you what they did. They went back and they slaughtered those Indians. They slaughtered them. And even after they slaughtered the Indians, and there were some who gave themselves up to go to the reservations, and they lived on the reservations in misery. They didn't want to be on the reservation because they were people of the land. They knew that was their land, and now they were in these controlled environments. But guess what they did first before they killed off some of those Indians? I can't leave this part out. This cold-blooded. They killed off the life source of the Indians, which was the buffalo. The buffalo was basically the Indians' economy, because they used the buffalo for the hides, the coats when it was cold. They ate the meat of the buffalo. They used the bones of the buffalo to make weapons and trinkets, and they used every part of the buffalo. The buffalo was their lifeline. So when they found out that the Indians didn't want to let them go back on their treaty, they start killing off the buffalo. And the buffalo population went from like 60 million buffalo in that region in a year's time down to a couple of thousand buffalo. That's cold, man. So they slaughtered those Indians through starvation. And eventually the chiefs of the tribes was like, man, our people are dying wholesale, man. So yeah, we'll go ahead on and come to y'all plantations. We'll submit and give ourselves up. But the Indians were still in tune with who they was. There was no self-hate among the Indians. The Indians were still in tune to who they was. And they came up with this thing called the ghost dance. And they would do this dance that was believed among the Indians would free them and eventually return them back to their land. And the settlers didn't know what the Indians was doing. They was like, man, what is this? That ghost dance scared the hell out of them. And then when they started seeing the Indians do that ghost dance, they started killing them. Started killing them off just because they were doing that ghost dance. And you the one who broke the treaty. So understanding that K-Rino said our story. Yeah, because look, when they can't understand our language, see, they gave us our language. They gave us English. English is a bastard language. English is the language that was put together from different languages. That's why when you open up your dictionary and you see these English words in the dictionary, you always see the origin word, the original language that it was pulled from. It'll say Latin, it'll say Arabic. It'll always have that original language that it comes from next to any word in the dictionary, because English is not an original language. It's a bastard language. See? So we have to understand who we come from, man. We come directly from God. We don't have no reason to hate ourselves. So we see a lot of this violence and killing out in the world and out in these streets because of the self-hate. The hopelessness that was created through a condition that we was put in long time ago. Not because you ignorant, not because you wild, not because you a savage. That ain't true. Don't let them tell you that. Don't let them tell your children that. This is systemic. Don't let no ignorant black people tell you, well, there's no such thing as racism. Don't let black folks tell you that. Black folks have bought into the talking point lies of these liars. And they'll say, racism doesn't exist. Don't let them tell you that, man. There's too many examples. I just laid out a whole history of racism. Well, that was a long time ago. Yeah, but the effects still exist today. And the ancestors of those who carried, no, the descendants of those who carried it out are still benefiting from it. They haven't made no efforts towards reparations. So you can't tell me. Do you believe all of your language was originally developed through the observation of winter, through nature? All of my language? I'm not sure what you're asking me, but it sounds like an interesting question. Dion Coleman say, much love from Louisiana to Texas, the government taking us out daily. Absolutely. That's why we got to love ourselves, man. If you love yourself, you will fight for yourself and for your family to not allow them to be us to be taken out, and to not fall victim to ignorance, and not let them tell you anything, and you just go with it. You should do this because blah, blah, blah. Okay. Nah. Come on, man. Oh, you said you heard every word was developed through observing nature. I know that there are words that were developed by observing nature, because I can speak to some of the history of Americans. When they were in the caves, when the Europeans were in the caves, they would name themselves after the things that they saw around them. So to this day, you have people who carry the last name Rock. We had a president whose last name was Bush. There was a basketball player named Larry Bird. There used to be a guy in the NBA, his name was Matt Fish. His last name was Fish. There was a black, well, he's still around, peace to the brother, man. There was a black actor who played the character name called Shaft. His name is Richard Roundtree. That was a football player back in the days. His name was Charlie Waters. There's a basketball coach in the NBA right now. His name is Doc Rivers. Somebody just said Wood. See, so yeah, they named themselves after things that they saw around them. See? But a lot of our names as black people, we got them from them. So Chris Rock, His name came from whoever was the rock. See? Or if they had other names, it could have been their first name. They would call us the son of that person, that slave master, and that's how we got our name. Okay, that slave belongs to John. He's the son of John. He's John's son. John's son, Johnson. Oh, he's from the Robbins plantation. That's Robin's son. Son of Robbins. So those names came from all different kinds of ways. Rapper K. Hey man, y'all get OG salute to Rapper K, man. OG salute to Rapper K, man. Peace signs, power fists, 100s, whatever y'all got. I just seen my boy come in the chat. He said Ben Sheets. Hey man, look, that's an inside joke. That's an inside joke. But it's a fact. A lot of these names just come from what they saw around them. Give my boy Rapper K the OG salute, man. I need peace signs and power fists and whatever you got to just show respect. Original SPC member, man, my brother Rapper K. Y'all make sure y'all show some love. And my brother Pee Wee, I saw him in there earlier, so we're going to combine those two, man. Y'all shout out to my brother, give him some love. Y'all know what time it is. See, we got to know the history of these things, man. The scriptures say a good name is better than gold. So your name has to have a meaning that's reflective of who you are, who you trying to be. How can I be somebody, I don't know this? My name is Bob Penn. I guess you could say, well, man, I'm cold with the pen, so yeah, y'all shout out, man. Show some love to the OGs, man. King Talk Media says, I would encourage every African in this country to listen to the lecture by Amos Wilson titled Amos Wilson, Issues of Identity Crisis in the Black Community, Myth or Reality. That sounds like an interesting read. Because it is an identity crisis. It's absolutely an identity crisis, man. We don't know who we are. So how can you love yourself if you don't know who you are? I don't know what that self is. I'm loving some other self. I'm loving a non-existent self more than I love my real self because I don't even know. I'm more familiar with the non-existent self. See? And a lot of these people who get on TV and represent for those who push that self-hating and steal that self-hate us, they don't love themselves either. I would never do that. You would never do that if you love yourself and you love your people. You wouldn't do it. Just wouldn't do it. Montana in the building. Tina say most can't handle the real self. In order to, if you familiarize yourself, if you find out who yourself is, you handle it automatically because it just snaps in. It's your nature. Your nature will never be too big for you. It will never be too much for you to live with because it locks right in with who you are meant to be. We just don't know our nature. We're not in tune with it because it was stripped from us. It's not our fault at the root, but we do have a responsibility now to seek that out, to understand our origins. And when you understand your origins, man, you start to swell up. You say, hold on, wait a minute. We did this. That's why a lot of people was checking, they trying to go back and find their roots. A lot of people trying to, I don't know how valid ancestry.com and all that stuff is. I don't know how valid that is. I don't know if they're just telling people what they want to hear, but The point is that they're giving an effort to try to find out who they are. That's a commendable thing, because if you start to, like Alex Haley did, and you start to trace and find out your roots, because as black people, tell me I'm lying, as black people, we can only go back so far. I'm 50, man. I'm 50. But I can only go back to my memory. I can only go back to my great grandmother on both sides of the family. I can't go back no farther than that, because that's all I got. So on my mama's side, it stopped at my great grandmother, because I was too young to understand or to know what I think I know now, to even ask her, well, who was your mother? Who was your grandmother? And if I had the sense enough then to ask those questions, she could have took me back further into my history, right? I tried it with my great grandmother on my dad's side when she was in her late 90s, but she wasn't able to really go as deep into it, which understandably so. She was older. But for black people, as a result of being in this country and cut off from ourselves, we don't even know what tribes we come from in Africa. We don't even know what regions we come from, unless you have been given that information some kind of way. You've been connected to your where you descend from in some form or fashion. That's a blessing. But I can't tell you, and as another black person in this chat, you can't necessarily tell what region of Africa you from. We don't know. People can look at you and say, well, you look like you could have been Ethiopian. You look Somalian. People can look at you and see features. But for the most part, where you think he from? Shh. That Negro from Third Ward. Oh, yo, you look like you from Mississippi. Like, nah, that ain't what I'm talking about. See? So that's the key. We got cut off. We got cut off from our bloodline. When most other races of people are still connected to their history. Even a Chinese American. If they brought their great grandmother over here, number one, even the modernized, westernized Chinese call themselves a Chinese American, speak fluent English. If you was talking to them on the telephone, you wouldn't even know that you were talking to a Chinese American or Chinese person, but they can still speak their language. You see the difference? Even our Latino brothers and sisters, which you know them, they can chop it up with us, but they can go home and still speak their language. They can go home and still speak Spanish, because Spanish and Mexican is not the same thing. And a lot of people make that mistake. But we can't speak our language, because we don't even know what region we from to even know what language we spoke. That was done intentionally. And some of us are all right with that. I feel a void that I can't go back all the way back to where I come from. Everybody that's in this chat, I see you, T. Salute. Everybody that's in this chat, I don't care if you're 25, 35, 50, 60, 18, 12 years old. You come from a bloodline that goes back as far as the mind can go back. Snoopy dropping that science. He say Spanish isn't even supposed to be our language. He's speaking on behalf of Latino brothers and sisters. See? So think about this. No matter who you are, you got a mother and father. They had 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 a mother and father. And you going all the way back. So if I keep saying, and they had a mother and father, and they had a mother and father, I could say that 1,000 times. And it's still true. Then I can add 1,000 more on to it. You know how many years and generations that is? They had a mother and father. They had a mother and father. Then you taking it back, but you bring it back in the other direction. It led all the way to you. Who wouldn't want to know all that bloodline like that? Who wouldn't want to know they great grandmother, grandfather from 17,000 years ago, and know that you were directly descending from that? That's what gives you love for yourself. I got a deep, rich history. That's what helps to develop that love. That's why history is so important. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad emphasized the learning of history. Well, one of the reasons. Got to learn history. History will teach you. History should give you a sense of that pride and that love for self. So when nobody can come along and pass over some BS on you, well, you're this. You're the curse of Ham. So you're black because one of Noah's sons, Ham, saw him drunk and naked, and he mocked his father. And as a curse, Ham was condemned to be black. Man, don't fall for that. I remember when the Latter-day Saints dudes came to my crib one time back in the days. I was staying with my brothers, and they was passing that nonsense over to my brother. He didn't know no better. They was telling him, well, you're from the curse of Ham. And I wasn't at home that day, but they told me about it. And they made the fatal mistake of telling me, oh yeah, well, they said they're coming back next Wednesday. I cleared my whole schedule out to make sure I was at home next Wednesday. And sure enough, they knocked on the door. Man, I wish it was social media and all that back then. This was like in 2002, 2000. No, probably was before that. It might have been 2000, 99. It was long before social media and all that type of stuff. We wouldn't even thinking to film all that back then. I couldn't wait for them dudes to get there. And when I got through with them, they couldn't wait to leave my house. Because you're not going to pass over them lies on black folks in this day and age. You can try, but you seen clips on YouTube all day long when they try to pull that crap, and it's somebody that they least expect that has the full knowledge and tear their head off with knowledge. Because you still passing on those lies, the curse of Ham, and you still passing that crap on, man. You know, black folks got no business believing that stuff in 2021. And I ain't even really know much back then. I ain't acting like I know much now, to be honest with you, but see, they gonna always run into the right one. They gonna catch the right one. And they're gonna be like, whoa. I was walking down the street one day. I'm finna go, y'all. I ain't gonna hold y'all. If I know y'all gotta go to work tomorrow. And the same situation happened. I was walking to the corner store, just minding my business. And two of the little Latter-day Saints guys walked up. You know them because they got the white. This is how you know them. They got the little white little dress shirt on with the little tie, the little slacks, and they in the hood. Sometimes they on bicycles, but they in the hood. This is how you know them when you see them. They stick out like a sore thumb. You in the roughest part of the hood, and you look up and you see these two little white guys walking around with their literature, and they knocking on doors in the projects. But it's funny, we welcome them. See that's the self-hate again. Because it's weird how we'll welcome them. We'll snatch it over. Who is it? Oh, hey, how you doing? Yes, we're with the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints, and we want to tell you about the greatness of Jesus Christ and how he came, and they start breaking all this stuff down to, and man, I don't care if it could be a brother that shot 18 people this morning. He go, okay, well, yeah, come on in, man. And then a brother knock on your door. No, what you want? It's like, we gotta turn that around, bro. So I'm walking down the street. Dude walks up to me, hands me a pamphlet, and say, I want to teach you about the greatness of Jesus Christ. And he hands me the pamphlet, and I see the picture, and it's Brad Pitt on the picture. So I say, so you want to tell me about Jesus Christ, right? Yeah. I say, can I ask you a question? Sure. I say, who is this? Oh, that's our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I say, it's your, or are you trying to say it's mine too? Because I don't recognize who this person is. Because according to the scripture, he don't look like this. According to the book you got in your hand, he don't look like this. They hurry up and they start wrapping it up with me. D. Mike say, if I go to a church and mention the mark of the beast, I'm crazy. I don't know why they would call you crazy. It's in the book. I'm a 30-year-old man, and I cook beautiful foods better than you most makeup loving women. The gospel said, like Malcolm X did the chaplain. Yeah, exactly. I had a Malcolm X in the chaplain moment. I had the same kind of moment years later. We gotta love each other, man. But love yourself first. Learn who you are first. Learn who you are first, man. Because you can't love nobody until you love yourself. That's why we killing out here. That's why we don't have no problems selling dope to each other. If we don't love ourselves, we can't love nobody else. Once you gain that love for yourself, as is taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, this ain't my teaching. I don't have no teaching. When you understand who you are, and in relation to God, you are a reflection of him. He created you. He loved you. He loves you. You look at your brother and you see a mirror. You see yourself. In that way, that eliminates the possibility of you doing wrong towards your brother, your sister. Self-love on an individual basis creates self-love of the whole. All right, my man, I will catch y'all later. And my sisters, it's your big brother, K-Rino. Something's going on with our website. We're trying to get it straight. But if you don't have the album, go to the digital platforms and get it for right now till we get everything straight on the website. You can order the physical copies. If you want to still order physical copies, man, I'll put the Cash App information on the end of this video, because a lot of y'all ain't got this new album. And I'm working on another one. So be looking for that one soon, because we're going to act real bad on this next one. All right, man. Much love to y'all. I appreciate that, man. Y'all be blessed.